Okay, so we're keeping a healthy weight using a plant-based diet. A healthy weight reduces your cancer risk. Losing 10% of your body weight can reverse type 2 diabetes and liver fat, and many chronic diseases are linked to obesity. A whole food plant-based diet consists of fruits, grains, legumes, and vegetables. So a plant-based diet helps you lose weight because it's low in calories. So protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, while fat has 9 calories per gram. And we'll, in a second, look at each of those macronutrients. But a plant-based diet is high in fiber. Fiber only comes from plants. Fiber is never found in animal products. And fiber is really important for your overall health. And it also fills you up so you eat less. So when people think about transitioning to a plant-based diet, sometimes they worry if their nutritional needs will be met because we're used to thinking that we need animal products in order to have a healthy diet. So if we think about the macronutrients that are in food, protein should be about 5 to 10% of your total calories, which maybe seems low to you, but somehow we've been led to believe that we need to have huge amounts of protein, when the reality is we really don't. Fat should make up about 10 to 15% of your calories. Fat is really important for your brain health. And carbohydrates should be 75 to 85% of your calories. So the nice thing about a plant-based diet is that you're not cutting out any particular macronutrient. So you're not saying, well, I'm not going to eat carbs anymore, or I'm not eating any more fat. All of these macronutrients are important for your health. So a plant-based diet helps you get all of those nutritional needs. So protein, when we think about animal protein, that also comes with saturated fat and cholesterol. So saturated fat is the fat that clogs up your arteries and leads to heart problems. It's important to remember that almost all foods have protein in them. So a cup of broccoli has about 4 grams of protein. And soy protein is best. For a while, we were told as women that we should avoid soy because it would increase breast cancer risk, but that's actually not the case. Soy is actually protective. And sometimes men have been worried about eating soy because of the estrogens in soy, but the estrogens are plant estrogens. And so it's not at all related to the female hormone. So everyone can eat soy and it's a great source of protein. When we think about fats, we want to avoid trans fats. Partially hydrogenated oils are mostly found in processed foods. So read your labels carefully. For example, in peanut butter, certain brands have partially hydrogenated oils. We really don't want to eat those fats. So read your label and find the peanut butter that's made with just peanuts. Lots of baked goods, snack cakes and cookies that you find at the store have a lot of trans fats in them. Again, the saturated fat is your artery clogging fat, and that's the fat that comes from animal products. One of the few plant-based foods that has saturated fat is coconut and coconut oil, so be aware of that. But otherwise, plant foods really contain this third kind, your monounsaturated and your polyunsaturated fats. So that's where you get your omega-3 and omega-6s that your bodies need. It's best to get your fats in whole food sources because then you gain all the other nutrients that go with it. So when you use an oil, like a canola oil or olive oil, those are healthier fats, but they're just really calorie dense and they don't add other nutrition. Whereas if you eat avocados or walnuts, flaxseed, tofu, quinoa, olives, those are all really good sources of fat that you need. If you replace saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat, your abdominal fat, in a study they did, the abdominal fat of the subjects decreased by 30%, and they decreased liver fat and increased their lean tissue. The type of fat that you eat is more important than the amount of fat that you're eating. So carbohydrates have gotten a bad reputation. I think the problem with carbohydrates is that when we think about carbs, we think about potato chips and French fries and cookies and all of those processed foods that we really want to avoid. But your body needs carbohydrates, but we want to get them from whole food sources because carbohydrates fuel your nervous system. And so when we think about whole food sources, we want to think about fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and beans as your sources for carbohydrates. And it's difficult for your body to store carbohydrates as fat. If you have carbohydrates with fat together, what'll happen is your body will burn the carbohydrate and store the fat. So if you think about having a baked potato with a big glob of butter or some sour cream or some cheese on it, your body will burn the calories from the carbohydrates, and then it will store the calories from your cheese and your sour cream and your butter as fat. So, but if you were to have a baked potato and maybe put some black beans and salsa on it, now it's just burning all of those calories. There's not really anything for it to store. But having thought about those three, protein, fat, and carbohydrates, don't think about them as separate macronutrients, because plants are little packages that contain some of all the nutrients that you need. So you really don't need to think too much about, oh, I need to be sure, where am I getting my protein or where am I getting my carbohydrates? If you're eating a well-balanced diet and if you're getting enough calories, you are getting enough protein and carbohydrates and fat. For every 3% of meat you replace with plants, you actually have a 34% lower hazard of death. So eating more plants is really powerful. So a typical breakfast might be oatmeal. I actually start every day with a big bowl of oatmeal topped with fruit and a little bit of ground flaxseed. You can make pancakes to be plant-based. Just substitute like almond milk instead of regular milk. You can do a tofu scramble, toast with avocado or nut butter, but like Dr. Barnard says, those are pretty high in fat, so you want to be kind of sparing on those two things. Lunch could be a bean burrito or pita with hummus and veggies, a salad, and we like to add beans and grains to our salad. I mean, lately been cooking a batch of farro and sticking farro in the salad, and then lots of different vegetables and fruit and just about anything we can think of goes into a salad, or make a veggie sandwich. This actually is, I experimented with a chickpea tuna-less salad. And so it's got the little green specks are actually, it's chopped seaweed, which gives it sort of a fishy taste. And it was amazing how that actually kind of tasted like a tuna salad sandwich, but it was with chickpeas and it had celery in it, and it was really good. So dinner choices might be pasta with marinara sauce. I like to add lots of mushrooms. You can throw some beans or lentils in there. I usually make a big pot of soup every week. You could do a stir fry with brown rice. This actually has some crispy baked tofu on it and a little bit of an Asian cabbage slaw on top. And chili is a great choice. Veggie lasagna, veggie enchiladas, a veggie pizza. I tend to not put the vegan cheeses on my food because I think it's highly processed and I actually do not like the taste of them. But there are some substitutes that you can use and experiment with too as you're transitioning to more of a plant-based diet. And then yesterday I made this corn salsa with greens, and I will send you this recipe, but this is just a quick video to show how to put together the corn salsa with greens. more tips. These are from Dr. Michael Greger, and he wrote the book How Not to Die. And then he wrote a book called How Not to Diet. He has actually 21 different things you can do to help you manage or lose weight. And these are just a few of them. So one of the things he says is to eat your larger meals earlier in the day. So you want to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. So you want your lighter meal at the end of the day. If you drink a glass of water before meals, then that's going to fill you up a little bit, so you won't eat as much during your meal. He also recommends starting your meals with a piece of fruit, or eat your salad first, or some kind of a soup, and that will help you eat less calories during your meal. This is a big one. Eat slowly. It takes your body 20 minutes to realize it is full. So if you really take your time and eat mindfully, you might find that even before you get finished with your meal, that you realize that you're full. And so that will help you eat less. Keep your window for eating to 12 hours or less. There's a lot of talk these days about intermittent fasting. And so that's just maybe eating in an 8-hour window or a 12-hour window. And there seems to be some good research coming out on that as being helpful for weight loss. Don't eat past 7 p.m. So it really is true that the calories that you eat 7 in the morning are different than the calories you eat at 7 at night. So you could eat the exact same thing, but if you're eating it later in the evening, your body doesn't have a chance to burn the calories. So it'll just be possibly stored. Make sure you get enough sleep. Try to exercise 90 minutes per day, and eat whole grains and avoid foods made with processed flours. And then this is actually from Dr. Dean Ornish, and he and his wife wrote a book called Undo It, which also talks about using nutrition to help manage chronic diseases. And his 4 pillars of well-being are to eat well, move more, stress less, and love more.